And welcome to the special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show and the Mitchell S. Karnes Podcast with our host, Mitchell S. Karnes. Mitchell, a lot to talk about again, but we're going to talk about Killer Nashville. And I want to know the premise of Killer Nashville because I am talking to some people. You're going to be a guest on Criminally Good. It's a podcast to promote authors and podcasters and that are in the crime genre. They're very excited to have you on the show. I present it, but really don't do much of the talking. They are also going up for an award, Criminally Good. So I just wanted to kind of give you that as one of the Media Giant family shows that are also going to radiate TV. But what I wanted to talk about today with you, Mitchell, that I think is very, very important is how Killer Nashville got started. Because I think that having a place for authors is pretty cool. Like not all of them, a lot of Crime Con, which is in Vegas, or others, they're not just for authors. This is a great space for people who write crime novels.
Yes. The qualifications you have to have, it has to be a mystery of some sort. So, however that ties in, and I kind of have the niche with the Christian, but Clay Stafford, who was a screenwriter, he's done on his own right, he's done so many things, plus written novels. And he sat down with some people several years ago, and he said that why should we have to drive to Florida or some other state to get one of these conferences? And so they got together and they formed the first Killer Nashville conference, and it has grown since. I think there were over 300 authors there this weekend. And it's just, he also has Killer Nashville University now where you can get online and you can study under any of these authors, world famous authors. Stephen James is one of those. He's there. He's one of my favorite. BJ Borg is in there. Uh, Heather Graham, not the actress, but the writer who's published over 200 novels. She's there. Several, well established people. We have, I think last year they had medical examiners that were there and sharing their skills. And so all of these things to help us be better mystery writers.
And I think it's fabulous because you get all these people together. What did you learn this time in Killer Nashville before we talk about how you shared on the panel for the second year?
I think the biggest thing I learned was that just that perseverance. All these people had stories where they tried over and over and over and over, and it was just the consistency of the effort that finally broke through. And we talked a lot about that overnight success and laughed about that because it's overnight on the night that it clicks. It's not overnight as in your first try. That's very, very, very rare, but people were just consistently working on their craft. They were networking with other people. A lot of that is who you know and how you get the opportunity. That's kind of the way we did with the film with Watergrave, is just a person to a person to a person, all those connections, and they just add up. So working on the networking, getting in a writing group, honing yours, but also sharing what you've learned with other people.
Yeah, exactly. Sharing with other people and
Mhm.
learning how their process, what they go through, and all those things. Let's talk about also. I'm interested in the panel. How
Okay.
do they lead a panel? Because I am going to be leading a panel in LA with celebrities. So I'm going to be interested. Is it almost like a podcast, a panel in a way where just there's someone leading the panel and having the conversation? How
I
did
don't,
it work there?
to me, it was more like teaching again. And I got compliments from two of my panelists, just saying that I was so natural in this, and I, did really well with the question answer. But that's kind of where my uh, strengths are, is that interaction one on one with a group of people, and just teaching as I can, sharing what I can. Of course, I was on a panel with one person who is sold over, I think, 20 million copies of her books to a person, and this was his first self-published novel. And so we all shared the little bit of whatever we've learned along the way. And mine tended to be more on the side of the Christian aspect of that. How do you weave faith into it, as well as someone at my age coming, finally coming through on this.
Right. And I'm understanding exactly the thing. So was there a someone leading the panel, or was it just you guys just
Yeah,
having
we had a moderator, and there were five panelists, um, and one had four panelists, and then the moderator for each. And so they started you off either by introducing you by your bio, or you got a chance to introduce yourself. And then they started off with a series of questions, and then they turned to the audience to see what they wanted to ask. And so each of my panels had a different aspect. One was the buddy dynamic of having two protagonists as opposed to one. Another one was how the secondary characters help drive a story, and so those subplots and how they feed into. And the other one was writing and selling a series.
and so that was pretty cool. So different panels. So
Yeah,
that's and how did the audience of authors take to this? Like, was that cool? How many authors are you speaking to when the panel's going on?
I think in my smallest group we had about 30. In my largest group we had probably 50 or so.
And then you had different authors in each group?
Yes, yes. It's like a university. I mean, you go in there and you pick the one you want to go to at this particular time. So at 9 o'clock to 9:45, there are 12 choices or so, and you pick the panel that talks about the topic you're really interested in growing in, and that's how it works. And then they
Interesting.
have book signings in between, like there's three panels and then a block for book signings. You can go to the bookstore and you can meet other authors and get your book signed.
See, I find this fascinating, the process and how it works, Mitchell, because you never know who's out there listening. And
Yeah, I
what
mean,
yeah,
this is an event. This is not an event where you want to go. You're going to go and sell a lot of books. You're not selling to the average reader. You're selling to other authors, and so they're very, very particular about what they do. And of course, you want to sell more than you buy. And of course, I don't think any of us ended up with that goal. I think we all bought more than we sold. But you make a lot of contacts. Uh, I've kept up with people from last year, and so it's just you build that network. You find the authors that write in your kind of niche, and you work with them.
okay. All right. Let's talk about what's new with the filming. The pilot's been filmed. What's next?
Well, they finished wrapping the pilot while I was at Killer Nashville, and they did the last few scenes, and so now they're in the editing process where they splice together the best takes that they have, make that smooth transition. They sync that with the sound. They're also working on the soundtrack, which is incredible. It's got a lot of Nashville talent in it and writing original songs for this, which is just still crazy to me. But all of that's going to be working together. So once they have the finished product, they'll be sending that off to the top three, which are Netflix, Amazon, Apple Plus, and those who have shown interest, and see if that interest translates to money and a contract.
I see. And then and then you figure out the pilot and all that stuff.
Right. The pilot is episode 1 of season 1 for Watergrave. And Watergrave is the subtitle. Abbey Road's Mysteries is the series that'll go. So if everything goes well, then books 2 and 3 will be the following season. And instead of 5 episodes, you'll have a 10 episode season. And they'll try to keep that pattern going.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. And so that's where you're at. Basically on that end with that, and you're waiting and you're hearing 1 month till it's completed, and then the process begins.
Yeah, and then they'll start teasing out, they said, non-spoiler clips to social media to try to build interest in that as they try to get the investors to chime in. And of course, I'm learning a lot about this investor process. So people, say they're going to invest and they promise they're going to invest, and just the money may trickle in. It may not come in like that, but like we talked earlier before we started here, if I were investing in that, I'd want to see a finished product too. I'd like to see what the quality is, how the actors are, how the dialogue works, before I, put that kind of money in.
Okay. So for the next thing is you have a book signing coming up. Talk about that one that just got set.
Yeah, that's It's a new thing, and they're trying that. And so you had to have sold at least five. You have published at least five novels, and it has to be fiction, and it has to be tied in with Nashville. So I qualified for that, and it's only going to be 10 authors. But we're going to be. They're trying something new. We're going to be in a coffee house. It's a barista in Nashville, and so they've got room set up for us and tables. There'll be five tables and 10 authors at those tables. And so the people drinking coffee can come and buy a book and sit there and read the books, hopefully.
Wonderful, wonderful. And more information to come on your website,
Yes, yes.
mitchellscarnesauthor.com. And
And
you're going to,
pictures.
yeah, and you're going to be going to a screening of a movie too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just found that out this morning. So I sent my application in on that because I've been invited to attend. I kind of laughed at him when he said VIP. I said, well, how do I qualify as a VIP? He says, Mitchell, you're too humble. So he says, you're the author of a book that's turning into a series. So I said, okay. Uh, so anyway, I just texted my wife and said, keep next Wednesday open, and I'll explain after my podcast today.
All right. Okay. All right. And your podcast series, you've recorded, we've released the first episode of that series, and now you're recording series fourth,
And
part four,
yeah,
and
it's
now
about
part
my
five.
writing process. And so this time was about how I tailor made the plot for each of these first four books and how I'm going to do book five and book six. And then I'm going to go on to actually doing some of the writing next time.
And you're in the process of writing book five. How's that going?
That's going great. I had a lot of, this is going to be a very complicated one. And this has got a lot of reveals, and I'm calling it closure because there's so many of those threads that close in this book. So how to do that and time that where the reveal is um, timely near the end, keeps the attention going, and not all of them at one time. So we'll have several threads that are tying in, and if I pull it off, I think this is going to be a really fantastic book.
All right. You go to mitchellscarnesauthor.com. News next week about Mitchell's sponsors he has. He's going to be surprised on that one, but more things to come on the Mitchell S. Karnes podcast. That was the special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show on the Mitchell S. Karnes podcast, guys.